Welcome to this podcast, Pastor Andrew again. So excited to share with you some truth on men. And one of the things that I love is to build men. I build men. I love men. I'm always with men. The last podcast we did, I was here with Gusta, and we're discussing the issues the realities that are happening in the world when it comes to men. I remember we talked about what is happening with the teen pregnancy, men being absent. If you missed that podcast, I just want you to go look for it so that we can continue building this thread. Our desire is to build you as a man. We are here to build great men. We just don't want to build a man. We want to build great men. And so today we want to discuss the realities of men. What are men going through? What are those challenges? What are the things that are affecting men right now? Where is the man? Where is the man? What is the things that he's facing? What are the issues that are affecting the man? So I want to share with you a couple of realities that men are going through. And the first one is the identity crisis. There's an identity crisis when it comes to us men. Some men don't know that they are men. Some men think they are women. Some men think they are still boys and yet they are men. When do you become a man? What defines a man? So there's a whole issue on our identity, and the enemy has attacked a man's identity. If you ask any common man, who is a man? They can hardly tell you. So what makes a man? What are the things men are going through? So when it comes to identity, what I've seen is that most men, they've wrapped their identity on the things they do, on the jobs they do, on the money they have. Some men are talking about the cars they drive. In fact, you'll see men introducing themselves. I'm apostle, doctor, blah, blah, I'm pastor. So you find that it's about the titles, it's about the cars, it's about how many farms they have. And so they have made this the identity. And honestly speaking, it's the reality we are going through. You will hear people say, you also call yourself a man without a house. You also call yourself a man without a car. So you can see even the social construct is telling you that our identity is wrapped on the things around us. And that's the reality that men are facing throughout in the corporate space. Whether you go to the village, whether you are in school, those are the issues that we are facing. There's an identity crisis. What is my role? What am I supposed to be doing? So those are things that we are facing when it comes to identity. The second reality that is affecting men, that men are going through, is men are lonely. This is a tough one. Men are lonely. For the years I've spent pouring my life into men and building great men, I've realized that men are lonely. In our course of biblical manhood at church, at Encounter, when we did it this year, most men, 98% of the men, I asked them, who is your close 2 or 3 friends? And they couldn't tell. They couldn't tell. So men are very, very alone. They are isolated. They are going through stuff alone. Men have no accountability. We are so vulnerable alone. In fact, one of the things I do, I love asking married couples, especially the women, and ask them, if you had a problem today and your husband is in danger, who is that person you would call? And I can tell you, most ladies will tell you, I don't know, Pastor, I don't know. I don't know who to call. I don't know my husband's friends. I don't know if we're in trouble, who can we speak to? And this is not just with married men. It's all over. Single men are lonely. They are struggling. They are hiding away. They are not connected. I usually say they are disconnected. They have no connection. Men are in that place of no connection at all. And that's the reality we are going through. I remember when I started on this journey, more than 6 years ago, I was a lonely man, very lonely. I would pastor and everyone would be excited to see me, pour out to everyone, come back into my house, and I'm alone. I have no man around me. But right now, as I speak, I have a lot of men around me. I can tell you, my wife can call 4, 5 men around me. They're always around me. And so this is the reality we are going through. Most men are lonely and they don't know what to do. This third reality is this. Most men are in pain. Men are facing a lot of pain. Men are going through emotional pain. Growing up, we were told men don't cry. When something happens, they say, no, Msajja takaba. Men don't cry. Men are strong. You should be a strong man. And so there are emotional things that are happening to us men. And we don't know how to express those emotions. We don't know how to express the bitterness. We don't know how to express the anger. We don't know how to express the pain that is going on in our hearts. Most men have a lot of emotional wounds. In our class, we teach about father wound, mother wound, and these are wounds that most men are carrying. And these wounds are painful. The challenge we are having is no one has taught us how do you deal with those pains. Because everywhere we go, they tell you, don't cry. It's women who cry. So men are confused. You're telling me don't cry. It's women who cry. So the man is wondering, so if I have all these issues I'm going through, how do I express them, Pastor? How do I express these issues that I'm feeling? How do I express these pains I'm going through? How do I express the heartfelt things that I cannot talk about? Whether they are married or they are single, there is a lot of pain that men are going through, and they don't know how to express it. And I know that in the years, in the months that carry on our podcast, we'll be able to dive into that and help you as a man to know how you can express your pain. And I know very many ladies, especially married ladies, or if you're in a relationship, you can attest to this, that you can see your man is sad, your man is disengaged, your man is in a lot of pain, and ladies usually come to me and they say, Papa, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do. Jeff is not okay. Augusta is not fine. But I don't know what to do. What do I do for him? So there is a lot of loneliness. There's a lot of pain. The fourth reality that we are facing as men is we are numbing the pain. We are numbing the pain. So what is happening to most men right now? They're taking a lot of alcohol. Alcohol increase has just, our consumption has just gone high. Because now we don't know how to express it. Now that has brought up another issue. We are numbing it. Because everyone is saying, don't express it. So what do? Let me cure it. How do you cure it? Because you can't even cure it with alcohol. So alcohol consumption has gone up. Many young people are on alcohol. They are on drugs. Even the older ones. They are covering it with sex. We are sleeping with one girl here, one girl there, your secretary or your workmate, one night stand. We are going to clubs and then find their girl. And so all this is because we are numbing a pain. We're trying to treat an internal problem with an external solution. And by the way, it doesn't work. And most of you men will attest to that this consuming of alcohol doesn't work. These drugs are not working. The sex is not working. And some of us, we've gone for the porn. The porn is also not what? It's not working. So we are trying to numb the pain instead of dealing with it. The other issue that I think the reality of men that we're having is anger. Men are angry. Men are angry. And you can see it when we are driving on the roads. Men are angry. You can see there's anger. The border man is angry. The one who is driving a V8 is angry. The one who has no car, who is walking, is also angry. It's just anger everywhere. You can test it. We are beating walls. Our knuckles have issues. I can tell you, men are bashing cars there. There's just such anger around men. And we don't know how to deal with that. And so that anger has come out, so it's an outrageous anger, trying to express the turmoil and the things that men are going through. We don't know how to deal with anger. Our young boys are also what? Angry. They're shouting at their mothers. You remember the other podcast last month, we looked at the single moms and all that. So they're shouting at their mothers. They are rebelling. And the expression of that anger, we're experiencing it in the politics. You can tell me, politics is full of anger. And by the way, the majority of the politicians are what? Amen. The anger is everywhere. Our houses. There's a lot of anger. Domestic violence has gone up. Why? There's anger. There's bitterness. There is bitterness that men are harboring. There's a lot of unforgiveness, and that anger, we don't know what to do with it on our roads. You've heard even stories where a man gets out his gun and just shoots someone. You've seen ministers being shot, and people, an askari shoots a whole family because of anger. There's that anger. And all these crimes that you're seeing are committed by who? By men. So we have the reality that we are going through is anger. In fact, I suffered from anger a lot. I remember I would feel so angry that I would have pain in my back, my upper back. I would feel a lot of piercing. Why? Because I grew up, no one told me about how do we deal with our anger, and that affected me a lot. I used to want to fight. I went to play rugby so that I can release that anger. I used to play rugby because in rugby it's legal. I can tackle you very well and just finish you up. But and that's how I lived my life. I didn't know how do you release this anger, and that's the reality most men are going through. And the other reality is men are disappointed with life. Men are disappointed with life. You see, the oxymoron is this. The world says, Andrew, you should be here. By now, you should be having a house. By now, you should be having a plot. By now, you should be having 20 kids. But then when you look at your reality, you have not started work. You're not earning anything. And maybe one of your friends, your high school friend, for him is now driving a car. You've even never thought of a car. So the expectation that has been put on a man and his reality are totally two different things. And so now that has brought a lot of disappointment in men. Men are so disappointed and they are so discouraged. And I know as a man, you're listening to me and you're saying, that's true, Pastor. I am disappointed. I am discouraged. You hear some men saying, for me, I have 20 acres in Masaka. You're thinking, hey, for me, when I don't have 2 decimals. And so that has created an environment of pain to the man. And so divorce is on increase. And some of you are disappointed. They told you when you marry, things will be okay. You married and things are worse. And now the woman is telling you, you be a man. And you're thinking, what are you talking about? Be a man? What is that? And so that is the pain that we are going through, the divorce. And some of you are young men, you're not yet even 40, and you have already gone through a divorce or 2, and you're thinking, what is there in life? Some of you, words have been spoken over you by your wife, or by your mother, or by society. And so you're so disappointed. You see, men, we were created to receive respect. But everything we're receiving in the world today is what? Disrespect. You call yourself a man. Why don't you be like the other man? Why don't you do this? And so we are disappointed with life. I've seen men who are totally disappointed in life. Now, the other reality that I've also seen is men are insecure. Because of this disappointment in life, we are very insecure. And that insecurity can be seen on how we treat others. You find men slapping their children left and right. You find them slapping their wives. You find them at work. You'll hear people saying, man, my boss today is not in a good mood in the morning. Why? Because something is wrong. And because men have a lot of insecurities. And we don't know how to deal with those insecurities. Hence, we have a domineering spirit. Hence, we have a controlling spirit. Hence, we want everyone to fear us. You'll hear men saying, do you know who I am? And you're thinking, wow, a 50-year-old, you don't know who you are. And that's what is happening because of the insecurities. And we try to cover them up. We try to use our titles to smear them. So there are a lot of insecurities. The reality is that men, we have a lot of insecurities. And even me as a pastor, I've had a lot of insecurities of who I am and where my friends are on my leadership. I remember I was head of operations. And I think for me, this was a game changer on my insecurities. I remember telling the people would come for me to sign for them, and I would tell them, you put it on my desk. I'll just direct them, say, you know what, I'm busy now. And using that controlling, domineering, trying to assert my authority and all that. But that was coming from the insecurities that I'd held for so long. And I thank God that during the process I met one of the great men from Deliverance Church that just helped me in some of the things. I was doing my master's in leadership and organizational management, and that's how I got started with that. So I know most of us men, we do have insecurities. But lastly, one of the things that I've seen, the realities we men are facing, is now men are taking longer to launch out. There's delay in our milestones. You see, like we calculate children's milestones. We say by this time the child should be crawling, by this time the child should be eating some food, by this now the child should be pronouncing words, mommy, daddy. The same applies to men. Men, there is a rhythm, and we teach it in our course of building great men that you need to be a part of next year. So men are taking long to launch out. These days you have a 30-year-old who is not married. Men are taking long to get into the workspace. You find that a boy growing out with a father without discipleship and all that, by 30 he has no skill, he has no work. And so men are taking long to hit the milestone they should. Men should be now saving money, but they are not saving. They're in debt, they're on alcohol. So we've realized that the realities of most men, they're taking long to launch out. But this has to change. So those realities, I want to recap those realities and then we'll ask you a question. Where are you as a man in those realities? Which one are you facing a lot? So the first one we said was identity. There's an identity crisis. There is, men are lonely. Men are experiencing a lot of pain. We see there's a father pain, there's a mother pain, and the result of that men are numbing that pain. We've also said that men don't know how to deal with anger. How do you deal with your anger? They have it, but they don't know how to deal with it, and we'll be able to help. But also we have realized that men are disappointed with life. How do we deal with the disappointments of life? Then we have also realized that men have a lot of insecurities. So how do we deal with the insecurities that men are going through? And lastly, men are taking longer to launch out. We need to deal with that. So, some questions to reflect. What are the things you need to reflect on in this podcast? Which of this reality describes you as a man? Which of these realities I've shared describes you as a man? And if you are married or you have you have a girlfriend, I want you to discuss it with your girlfriend. If you're not married, I want you to discuss it with other men. Which of these realities best describe you? And then the last one I want you to discuss is, what are you going to do about it? Every third Tuesday of the month, we release another discussion. So I'll be sitting with some men who will discuss these issues. So every third Tuesday of the month, we do that. So make sure you enjoy that podcast. We are waiting for you. God bless you. We love you, men. We are for you. We are here to build great men so that women and children can be safe. Bye-bye.